Hi, I'm Stacey and I'm back for another episode of Better Financial Health in 15 minutes or less. And today I'd like to talk about home buying and home selling because while it's still pretty chilly outside, spring is typically the time where you see a lot of activity in the real estate market. And if this is something that you're hoping to be a part of, either as a first-time home buyer or maybe you're looking to trade up, maybe get into a better school district or just get a little more room for an expanding family or just change the neighborhood you live in. There's some things that you should be doing right now. Assuming that you're going to need a mortgage, it's a good time to go to annualcreditreport.com, look at your credit report, make sure that there's no accounts out there that are not yours or that are showing as late, past due. You want to make sure that that looks very clean. If you do have some higher credit card balances, you really want to focus on getting those paid down because those will factor into your debt to income ratio. So you want to really clean up your balance sheet. So pay off debt, close accounts that maybe you've forgotten about, you don't even still have the credit card anymore. Those can pose some risks for you anyway. But if you do have an old credit card that you don't really use much anymore, but it's the one you've had the longest, don't close that one because that is your longest credit history, and so a lot is anchored to that. That could actually hurt your credit score if you close it. But it is safer if you use it periodically and then maybe set it up for auto pay. If you're going to be selling your home, it's generally a good idea to spend a little time and go outside your house and look at it. It's called curb appeal is what the realtors refer to it as. How does it look? Do you have any flower beds that you're going to need to refresh? Do they need to be mulched? Do they have weeds? Yes, it's still winter, but as spring gets here, it's good to go ahead and get a plan to cut back anything that's overgrown, replace anything that might have died during the cold snap of winter, really making it look nice. Make sure you've got any spider webs that may be on light fixtures. If your light fixtures are real dated, you may want to get some new ones to put in there. And they don't need to be expensive, they just need to have the right look. So think HGTV here, and you're trying to stage your home to be appealing and welcoming. Because if people don't want to come in the front door, it doesn't matter how great the rest of the house looks, you have to get them in the front door. Also, if you're have a lot of weeds in your yard or you've got bare patches of grass, you want to think about working on that and getting some grass to grow there. If your fence is falling down, you want to fix that type of stuff. And then once you're in the house, historically kitchens and bathrooms sell homes. So if you've got a really outdated kitchen, but maybe your cabinets are solid, but you have very 1970s hardware on them and they're a weird brown wood, you may want to paint those and replace the hardware, and that can really give it a much lighter, newer, fresher feel without costing a lot of money. The other thing is countertops. If you don't have the granite or the quartz or some sort of solid surface, and especially if it's some sort of weird color, you're likely going to want to replace that as well because you do tend to get a good return on your investment for doing those types of things. But it's not the time to maybe go high end, you just want it to look very nice, and you may, depending on the price point of your home, you may want to use a thinner granite, or instead of maybe a 3-inch, you may want to use an inch and a half to help you there. Also, you want to make sure that everything is clean, cobwebs in the corner, that sort of thing, because people look, and if they see something that looks like it needs addressing, they're going to assume that there's lots more stuff that hasn't been maintained that they need to look for, which can make it more difficult to sell your home. Also, if you have olive green appliances, probably a good idea to go ahead and replace those, or mismatched appliances. You may want to start watching the sales to swap out something, because stainless steel is certainly the most popular these days. And then as you get into bathrooms, if you've got water damage in there or the cabinets are beat up, it's a good time to maybe give those a fresh coat of paint, or depending on the size of your bathroom, look at replacing it with one of those standalone vanities that come with the sink, the faucets, and the cabinets all in one, and you just need to have a plumber take out your old one and put in the new one and attach the washers. Of course, if you're super handy, you may be comfortable doing that yourself. That would not be me. I would be calling someone to do that, but that's a good way to do it. And you want to make sure that your bathrooms are clean. There's no ring in the tub or anything like that. If you've got water spots on shower doors, you want to, YouTube that and find the best ways to clean them. I've tried a lot of them. And then you just kind of want to go and declutter. You're going to be moving. So the more you can clean out and get rid of and give to charity or give to a friend that maybe has a child that's wearing that size clothing now, the more you can move out and free yourself up, the less you're going to have to pack and move, and it gives your house a bigger feeling. It feels more spacious, and it's also a good time to go ahead and pack up those pictures or things that may not be sort of as appealing to somebody else, not in your shoes. So it's a good time to do that as well. If you've got a beat up area rug, go ahead and get a new one and put it down. It can really update the look of a room. So it's those key things to make your house look ready and sort of putting on its best face. And so then when you are ready to list your house, it will be ready for the market. And then while you're doing that, also meeting with your realtor if you're using one, a mortgage banker, and sitting down and making sure that you understand exactly how much home you can afford. Because oftentimes what they tell you your total payment can be, once you put that in your budget, you realize, well, okay, if we're spending that much on principal and interest, plus we're going to have taxes and insurance on top of that. And then anytime you buy a new house, there's always stuff you want to do, so you need to have money for that. You really want to make sure that you're not pushing yourself too tight to where your mortgage is such that it doesn't give you room to take a vacation, save for retirement, get the kids braces, all those things that just life brings. You want to make sure that there's money in your budget for that, especially we see this happen. You may not have a car payment, so that's not in your budget. So you think, oh yes, this all-in mortgage payment will be fine. But then something happens with your car, and all of a sudden you've got to go get a new car. And because you used all your cash for your down payment on the new home, then you don't have enough, and you're going to have to get a payment on a car. And then all of a sudden, it feels like you can't breathe anymore. So you really want to be careful and make sure that you're leaving enough flex in your overall budget when you're looking at how much can I realistically afford. So those are kind of the key things. One, if you have a home to sell, you really want to make sure that you're putting the best foot forward immediately. Paint is a lot more expensive than it used to be, but still relative to the return, pretty inexpensive as far as being able to make it look. And then pay attention to the little things. Lighting is a big part of it. If you've got a room that's too dark, maybe you want to have someone install some can lights in the ceiling, or invest in some lamps, and maybe remove some outdated draperies that may be blocking light, because light is also important to folks. So you want to put the best foot forward there. You also want to clean up your personal financial statement, remove as many payments as you can, and really pay attention to your credit score, because that's going to help you. And then a good mortgage banker is going to help you see if you qualify for any special programs, first-time home buyer, certain neighborhoods, if you served in the military, VA benefits. There's a lot of programs out there, and working with a mortgage banker that is attuned to what's available in your community can be very helpful. Yes, there's the big online ones, and sometimes they have really great rates, but sometimes you may need a little special hand holding, so it may be worth your while to ask around, talk to family and friends, and get you someone that can help you navigate this. Because for most people, a home purchase is the biggest purchase they'll ever make, and it can lead to great wealth. It can also be immensely frustrating, so you really want to make sure you're ready and you've thought through it as you go forward. Good luck to you if you're hunting for a house. If you're renting and you're like, I don't know, I feel like I need to buy a house, but I'm not really wanting to. I don't really want to deal with grass, things like that. I will tell you, based on the price of homes and based on mortgage rates, in almost all cases that I have taken a look at, you're actually better off renting right now. So don't worry that you're not building wealth. Your rent is a lot less than your house payment would be, and you don't have the risk that you're going to need to make a large repair. So no, you're not quote unquote building equity, but take that extra money you would be spending, save it, and you'll be ready when you decide you are ready to cut grass or pay HOA fees if you're buying a condo or something along those lines. But don't have any FOMO about not buying right now. I think the numbers, if you're moving up, it's one thing because you've got equity, but if you're a first-time home buyer, don't get in a rush. I think that this is one of those times in history where it may pay to go a little bit slower and save a little bit more money, and instead of buying a home and buying appliances, you take that trip. So I really don't think there are bad choices. It's just making sure that it's the right one for you and that you have thought all the way through it, and you're not letting somebody tell you, well, you should do this. You should do what feels right for you, and maybe home ownership for you is a few years away because you value travel or flexibility and more so than you value a brick and mortar. So thanks for tuning in. This has been another episode of Better Financial Health in 15 minutes or less.